This engine wasn't just built, it was forged in the fires of necessity and innovation. The Mopar 225 Slant Six, a legend wrapped in cast iron, not only outlived its competitors, but humiliated them in silence. It wasn't a flashy Hemi or a rumbling V8, but this odd-looking six-cylinder motor survived everything from battlefield duties to junkyard burials, and still runs to this day. The story begins in the 1950s, when Chrysler's inline six was stuck in the past, relying on bulky, outdated flathead designs. At the time, American cars were transitioning, getting smaller and more efficient. Foreign models like the Volkswagen Beetle were becoming household names, and Chrysler was falling behind. Then a quiet engineer named William Whitman proposed something radical: an inline-six engine tilted 30 degrees to the right. Executives were skeptical, but Whitman ignored tradition. The result was a new engine design that revolutionized Chrysler's six-cylinder lineup. This tilted engine wasn't just for looks. It made the engine more compact, allowing for better packaging under the hood and enabling innovative features like long intake runners, which boosted airflow and fuel efficiency. Nicknamed the Leaning Tower of Power, it was introduced in 1960 with two variants, the 170 for smaller vehicles and the longer stroke 225 for bigger models. Despite modest horsepower numbers, the 225 delivered an impressive punch of torque. Its design included a rigid block, just 4 main bearings, and a tough crankshaft, making it almost indestructible. Mechanics soon whispered its nickname in reverence, the unkillable engine. It required little maintenance and seemed unaffected by harsh conditions, poor fuel, or skipped oil changes. Chrysler did experiment with aluminum versions to save weight, producing around 52,000 units. Although they used high-tech die-casting methods, these lightweight blocks suffered from serious reliability issues. Liners shifted, coolant leaked, and head gaskets failed early. The experiment ended quietly by 1964, and the iron block returned as the standard. Even though the aluminum blocks were rare and fragile, they were a marvel of engineering. Spotting one today is a treasure hunt. They lacked traditional freeze plugs and had unique casting markings. Yet their demands for careful handling and maintenance made them impractical for the average user. Meanwhile, the iron block Slant Six dominated the real world. It powered everyday cars like the Dodge Dart, Plymouth Valiant, and even Chrysler's full-size sedans. It was a favorite in taxis, fleet vehicles, and low-trim muscle cars. The engine even found its way into boats, industrial machines, welders, and irrigation systems. And then came racing. Despite being an economy engine, the Slant Six proved its worth on the track. In 1963, a Slant Six-powered hot rod shocked the custom car world by winning America's most prestigious hot rod award. Chrysler noticed and developed the Hyper Pack, a dealer-available performance kit with a 4-barrel carb, high-lift cam, and long intake runners. The kit turned the humble six-cylinder into a track monster, sweeping races and humiliating competitors like Ford and Chevrolet. But success created jealousy. V8 loyalists within Chrysler resisted the Slant Six's growing reputation. NASCAR soon eliminated the compact car class, effectively ending the Slant Six's official racing career. But it thrived in street racing scenes, where budget-minded tuners used it to embarrass bigger engines. These engines became known as sleepers, slow-looking cars with surprising speed. Even in the modern era, the Slant Six continues to evolve. Builders now turbocharge these engines, pushing out over 300 horsepower using modern components like EFI systems, wastegates, and intercoolers. Some builds even exceed 400 horsepower, all on a platform once designed for economy. The key to the Slant Six's performance potential lies in its rugged construction. Early models featured forged crankshafts, thick cylinder walls, and long stroke designs, ideal for torque. Upgrades like Dutra dual headers free up exhaust flow, while performance camshafts and stronger valve components unlock higher RPM potential. Fuel injection systems have replaced old carburetors, bringing precision tuning and modern drivability. Today, the Slant Six is more than just a relic. It's a canvas for builders, a blueprint of resilience, and a reminder that sometimes the underdog ends up rewriting the rulebook. From factory floors to backstreet drag races, the Slant Six didn't just survive, it thrived. And even now, decades later, it continues to roar.
Fuel injection modernized the Slant Six, with injectors delivering precise amounts of fuel directly into each intake port. Paired with a high-flow fuel pump and a large throttle body, this setup brought cutting-edge performance to a classic design. But behind the modern upgrades lies the truth of its legendary reputation, a legacy forged through relentless abuse and survival. Slant Six engines ran for 500,000 miles in taxis, hauled massive trailers through harsh deserts, and powered equipment for decades in the sun. Its true strength wasn't luck, it was design. The early Slant Sixes featured a cast iron block with a deep skirt structure and a forged steel crankshaft. These engines were built like tanks. Unlike the fragile aluminum variants Chrysler briefly toyed with, the iron block versions resisted cracks, corrosion, and abuse. The deep skirt design extended below the crank center line, making the engine stronger and better at absorbing vibrations. This robust construction made it a top choice for demanding jobs, from delivery vans to patrol cars to industrial equipment. Even under the worst conditions, the Slant Six performed. In pickups and vans, it endured stop-and-go traffic, heavy loads, and minimal maintenance. Taxi fleets pushed them to their limits in urban conditions. Police cars raced from idle to top speed daily, and the engine didn't flinch. Industrial tools like water pumps and welders relied on the Slant Six's unshakable reliability. Stories emerged of engines running for years without an oil change or with low coolant and still starting right up. It wasn't just tough, it was unkillable. Its design philosophy played a role in that longevity. Few moving parts, durable components, and simplified mechanics meant fewer failure points. The 30-degree slant allowed engineers to move the water pump to the side, aiding cooling. The deep oil pan ensured proper lubrication even on steep terrain or rough roads. Whether in a pickup truck or a farm generator, the Slant Six was the go-to engine when dependability was a must. But raw power was another secret weapon. The 225 version wasn't just reliable, it pulled like a diesel. Its long stroke and short bore configuration, 3.4 by 4.125 inches, gave it torque right where drivers needed it. It made 145 horsepower at 4,000 RPM, but more impressively, it cranked out 215 pound-feet of torque at just 2,800 RPM, nearly matching Chrysler's own 273 V8. In compact cars like the Dart and Valiant, it felt quick and responsive, often fooling drivers into thinking they had a V8 under the hood. A big reason for that instant power was its unique intake manifold, nicknamed the Bunch of Bananas. The slanted design allowed for long, curved intake runners that ensured even air distribution to all 6 cylinders. That meant smooth combustion, great throttle response, and superior fuel economy. Most came with single-barrel Carter or Holley carburetors, offering a balance of efficiency and drivability. But for those who wanted more, Chrysler offered the Hyper Pack in the early 1960s, a performance upgrade that added a 4-barrel carb, domed pistons, a high-lift cam, and tuned intakes. With that kit, the engine made 195 horsepower and over 220 pound-feet of torque, proving it wasn't just a commuter engine, it could race. Driving a Slant Six equipped vehicle was a joy. Quick off the line, smooth on the highway, and capable under load, it adapted to every scenario. Trucks like the Dodge D100 handled towing duties effortlessly. Mid-size sedans cruised in comfort, while compact models darted through traffic with surprising speed. Better yet, they offered solid mileage, often 15 to 20 mpg, much better than gas-hungry V8s. Internationally, the engine had a loyal following, especially in Australia where it powered local Chrysler Valiants. Its influence even inspired the development of the high-performance Hemi 6 engine. The Slant Six proved itself in touring car races and daily use, gaining legendary status abroad. Its lightweight 475-pound build made it easy to swap into almost anything, from Fords to boats to off-brand imports. Wherever it went, its torque made a noticeable impact. But even legends have weaknesses. One of the more subtle issues was valve seat recession, especially after the 1970s phase-out of leaded gas. Early Slant Six engines relied on the cushioning properties of lead to protect valve seats. When unleaded gas became the norm, exhaust valves in older engines began to wear down. Over time, this led to misfires, hard starts, and loss of compression. Chrysler addressed it with hardened valve seats post-1976, but many engines on the road were already vulnerable. Another common problem was timing chain wear after high mileage. The single-row timing chain stretched over time, especially beyond the 200,000-mile mark. As it wore, it threw off cam timing, causing rough idle, misfires, and poor performance. In the worst cases, the chain jumped a tooth, risking catastrophic damage from valve piston collisions. The cooling system also had flaws. The side-mounted water pump was clever, but more exposed to road debris, leading to seal failures. Additionally, the inline layout made it harder for coolant to reach the rear cylinder, sometimes causing overheating under load or in hot climates. Still, the Slant Six adapted. Through the 70s and 80s, it evolved with the times, adding emissions equipment like EGR valves and air pumps. These additions hampered performance slightly, but didn't compromise reliability. During the 1970s fuel crisis, Chrysler even introduced a smaller 198 cubic inch version for better mileage. In 1977, the Super 6 appeared, a 225 with a 2-barrel carb that offered more power without sacrificing efficiency. Production for cars ended in 1983, but trucks kept the Slant Six alive until 1987. In industrial applications, it continued to be used all the way up to 1991. That marked the quiet end of a power plant that had outlasted trends, politics, and competitors. Racing legend Lee Petty once said, "That little six pulled like a mule off the corners. We couldn't touch it." But what if Chrysler had stuck with it longer? What if the aluminum block had worked? What if the Hyperpack had been allowed to shine in NASCAR? What if V8 politics hadn't buried its potential? The Slant Six might have been Chrysler's most brilliant mistake, or its most brilliant secret. One thing is clear: the engine that refused to die left behind a legacy few others can match.